Much has been said in this symposium about the knowledge debate. The role and types of powerful knowledge in geography have been discussed by both Michael Solem and Alaric Maud. Peter Vigoli-Simo and Sally Windsor argued that geography alone is insufficient for teaching education for sustainable development and highlighted the tensions between the need for deep, subject-specific knowledge and the evolving nature of knowledge production and distribution. Margaret Roberts has drawn our attention to the dimension of pedagogy, arguing that powerful knowledge cannot simply be transmitted. Rather, powerful pedagogies or ways of teaching are needed to help students acquire powerful ways of constructing and evaluating information. In this presentation, we bring the discussion about knowledge and education for sustainable development, ESD, back to teacher training. How do powerful knowledge, powerful pedagogies and ESD fit into teacher education for both pre-service and in-service teachers? How do the ideas about knowledge, pedagogy and ESD help us better prepare teachers to become powerful teachers for the planet? First, we will outline some insights from existing research on the teaching of sustainability. Then we will share findings from an audit of the curriculum of an MTeach program at University of Melbourne. Following this, we will give you some preliminary results from a survey of PSTs on their knowledge and attitudes towards sustainability. We'll then discuss the implications of these findings for teacher education broadly defined.
Research acknowledges that teachers have a critical role in impacting the implementation of ESD in schools. In terms of preparing teachers to teach ESD, studies have focused on teachers' attributes for teaching ESD, and these are in terms of knowledge, skills, and values. Several quantitative studies have examined pre-service teachers' environmental awareness or literacy, beliefs and values towards sustainability or climate change. It is important that we consider the range of knowledge, skills, and values and attitudes that beginning student teachers carry with them as they enter their teacher training, as well as what happens during the course of training. Another noteworthy area of research is in examining the effectiveness of teaching interventions for teaching sustainability or climate change. Monroe and colleagues, in a recent systematic review of 49 empirical studies, found that interventions that have been effective for teaching climate change had 6 common themes. They are personal relevance, engaging teaching methods, deliberative discussion strategies, interaction with experts, addressing misconceptions, and involvement in school and community projects. These themes have proven effective in enabling students to share diverse views on climate change, but also challenge them meta-connectively so that they can overcome misconceptions and be instilled with hopefulness and motivation to take action. Alongside this research, here is also a camp which vitally argues that current ESD does not sufficiently address the politics and systemic processes required for effective change. For example, Jorgensen and colleagues argue that educators need to explicitly address the role of collective action, multi-actor networks, and social-technical innovation in order to have an actual impact on sustainability issues, such as transitioning from fossil fuel-based systems to renewable-based systems. In other words, we need to get beyond just children sorting their waste for recycling to address more systemic issues over packaging, for instance. Tim and Barth offer a convincing middle ground argument. The study found that there are 2 types of teacher competencies for ESD. First, teaching level competencies, which comprise pedagogical and content knowledge for teaching, so change is effected through interaction with students. Second, broader strategic level competencies, which comprise strategic and structural knowledge to bring about institutional change. This finding suggests that teacher education could begin with focusing on teaching level competencies. For instance, how to link objectives of ESD to relevant teaching content and methods. This can then be followed by providing teachers with learning opportunities to devise whole school approaches and effect institutional change.
Amid a university-wide imperative to foster sustainability knowledge and action in all faculties, we audited the Master of Teaching curricula in 2020 to establish baseline data of ESD in teacher training at the University of Melbourne. The audit found that the degree of student exposure to teaching about sustainability is highly influenced by student choice. Some students chose specialised pathways through electives and research options. The MTeach primary course had the most core exposure. In early childhood, all pre-service teachers undertake a core subject with detailed sustainability focus, while for MTeach secondary, only pre-service teachers who chose to specialise in environmental science, humanities and social sciences will complete core subjects with a detailed focus on sustainability. Pre-service teachers undertaking the research option get less exposure to teaching about sustainability as they have fewer elective choices, and for the primary stream may do fewer core subjects that have a sustainability focus. Overall, there is scope to strengthen the curriculum to ensure students have better opportunities to develop knowledge, skills, and values to address global, environmental, and societal challenges. Together with Sally Windsor from Gothenburg University and Kim Beasy from University of Tasmania, Peter and I have designed and conducted a survey to evaluate PSTs' knowledge, attitudes, and actions about sustainability. This longitudinal survey is being administered across 4 institutions involved in this project: Melbourne, Gothenburg, Berlin, and Tasmania. Pre-service teachers will complete the survey early in the start of their teacher training and again before they graduate. In the first sample of 94 responses from the University of Melbourne, the majority of the MTeach students who completed it were in their first year. More than half who completed it were secondary student teachers with a range of specialisations including social science, environmental science, humanities, science, mathematics, arts and languages.
The results show that in terms of knowledge, pre-service teachers understood some facts about sustainability and climate change, but misconceptions remain. All of them know that increased carbon emissions is a cause of climate change. However, 63% consider ozone depletion also as a cause of climate change. This is a common misconception that has been well researched. In contrast, only 40% consider natural fluctuations as a cause of climate change, when actually natural fluctuations contribute to climate change alongside anthropogenic causes. Only 60% understood that carbon dioxide is the most significant contributor greenhouse gas. The most common misconception was methane, with 20% of respondents suggesting that it was the most significant greenhouse gas. The most common source of information about sustainability for these pre-service teachers is actually social media. Notice that university curriculum is ranked low at 6, way behind friends and family and what they had learned in primary and secondary school curricula. These are self-reported knowledge statements, and we notice that there is high self-reported knowledge about inequality, mental health, education, and waste recycling and reusing. These are popular current issues in Melbourne and Australia. And this reinforces what others have written about, that perspectives about sustainability issues are strongly influenced by social cultural contexts. There is low self-reported knowledge in the areas of sustainable ICT, energy production, and economic growth. These are more technical or technology-related issues. The low self-reporting seems to reflect the gap in knowledge about social, technical, innovation, which Jorgensen and colleagues had reported about.
In terms of attitudes, generally positive personal attitudes about sustainability and motivation to teaching were present. Only 8% thought that climate change is not relevant to their teaching. However, 32% indicated that there were more important issues to teach about than sustainability, and cited a range of issues including equality, values, and literacy. 52%, roughly half, foresee challenges to teaching sustainability during their school placement, giving reasons related to time, the need to conform to school staff culture, lack of support or knowledge, it not being part of the curriculum or the subject, so sustainability is seen as tangential, political, or irrelevant. The findings from this survey will enable us to consider how best to consolidate and build PST knowledge, attitudes, and actions about sustainability. These initial findings give some indication of a need to strengthen teacher-level knowledge and more systematic and strategic level knowledge to help teachers implement ESD. We'll also be able to observe and analyse change in knowledge, attitudes and actions over time, which will contribute to our understanding of the impact of teacher training and university co-curricular experiences on ESD. As an international study, we'll be fascinated to consider the survey findings across the 4 contexts. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We now invite you to discuss in breakout groups. Where are you located? What areas of teacher education are you involved in? And how might you evaluate and influence the training of future teachers for the planet? Thank you.